Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and today we're featuring one of our urban professionals uh, out of Kansas City, born and raised, Mr. Emon Spaulding. Iman, how are you doing?
I'm doing good today. How about you guys?
Doing fine. And let me give you your propers, Dr. Spalding. And the reason I left that off, audience per se, because I've been knowing Iman since he was born. I mean, since he was born, him and his brother, and his dad's a doctor, his mom's a doctor. Most of the people that are watching this from Kansas City know your dad and know your mom. But what I'd like for you to do is tell your story. Talk about who you are and how you ascertained your education and to become a doctor, and tell your story.
I wasn't actually born in Kansas City. I was born in Nashville, Tennessee.
All right.
I was born at Meharry Medical College, which is where I went to medical school. I was born in Hubbard Hospital, so I was there for just 2 weeks, and then my grandmother, Jimmy Marie Thomas, came down and got me, took me back to Kansas City. So, I mean, I am from KC through and through.
And I stayed in your grandmother's house for almost a whole winter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know your auntie was running it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying once they passed and what have you, and I needed a place to stay, and she let me stay there.
Oh, so you're not talking about way back before. You're talking about. So I didn't know that.
I'm talking about over the last 10 years.
After they passed away. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because the house was vacant.
Right.
Yeah. So talk about a little bit about yourself and who some of your mentors were, and just give your story.
So I mean, I went to school inner city, Kansas City, like most kids in KC.
Which school did you go to?
I went to Milton Moore, 1st through 3rd grade, and then I went to Askew for 4th grade, and then I went back to Milton Moore for 5th grade, and then from 6th through 12, which was cool. I went to Lincoln. I went to LCPA,
Lincoln
from 6 to 12 before they separated it. It was separate, then it wasn't, and then it was back to separate again. So you could do your 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and then go and then do high school. They had you in pods, and then they separated. Now it's just 9th through 12th grade, and you got the middle school across the street. So I went to school, public school, Kansas City public school system, which it's had its ups and downs, but in general, it's a good public school system. I mean, Lincoln's one of the best schools in the state,
in the country.
In the country, really, yeah, that's a checkable fact. So, I had a good foundation there, being able to go to school, not having to, being able to go to a majority at the time, inner city black school that was a good high school.
How important do you think that being around, with this being Black History Month, being able to be educated in a system where most of the people look like you?
It's good for your socialization in the community. So it's you get to see people who look like you, doing things, getting a good education, being the focus of resources, so being in Lincoln, that was nice for the times. I mean, you can always have more, if anything's going to suffer a lot of schools, it'd be the athletic program, right? So you can always add to it, which Lincoln has been great at doing over the years, since I've been a student. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. That's why I went to HBCUs to go to college. I wanted to go to I wanted to be in an environment that was protected and safe. I didn't have to worry about the things I'd have to worry about at a PWI. It's more of a family environment. I could deal with just normal issues and not, racism and white patriarchy.
The whole deal that if you a person of color that you deal with on a daily basis, in your personal life. If you're a garbage man, teacher, doctor, or astronaut, if you are a person of color, you have to deal with a lot of mental issues, and you almost got to throw them out your mind, and that's even more harmful, that you've got to ignore certain things.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't have to worry about that, you know, in college, and not really a whole lot. Really, not really at Lincoln either. You know, you know, that was actually a fairly protected environment from the standpoint of being a black high school student. You know, you nearly have to deal with a whole. I mean, there was some things. I think especially some of the women in high school had to deal with, especially with teachers and that and whatnot. But I mean, for the most part, it was better than me, you know.
So when you left Kansas City to go to
Johnny
school,
Mission, or
where'd you go to school? Your undergrad?
I went to Clark Atlanta University.
What was that
from 95 to 99?
What was that like?
Oh, that was awesome. I have I wouldn't change it. I'd do it exactly the way I did it all over again. I'd do it exactly the way I did it.
Yeah, as I was saying, they have a storied history of putting out excellent students and professionals.
The ones that, yeah, so you know, the ones that are able to make it through and you know, get to the to finish line, yeah. You know, a lot of students go on to get their master's degrees or become lawyers, or you know, doctors, or get into architecture, engineering. You know, a whole lot of people going into media. You know, photography or broadcasting came out of CAU and Morehouse as well. So I mean, yeah, they do a good job of. They definitely give you a good education. It's expensive, but you get a good education.
Tell me this: what? Tell our audience, and I'd like to know. Is self-explanatory, but what made you want to become a doctor?
Honestly, that wasn't my first choice. Doctor was like the third thing on my list of things I really wanted to do. But it was also, I hate to say it, but it was the safer bet, you know, as far as, you know, having a long career and getting, you know, making good money and taking care of a family. So that's where I fell back on. I was vacillating between going to graduate school and medical school. I ended up falling, you know, having an opportunity to go to med school. So that's the path that took me down. You know, and that's good. You know, I met my now ex-wife, and we had 3 beautiful children. So.
You got the twins, man. I didn't know that you had the twins until the other day.
Yeah, their birthday was Sunday.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what type of medicine that you practice.
I practice emergency medicine. I'm trained in internal medicine and emergency medicine. Also did a little pathology, but I practice emergency medicine.
This is what I would ask you. With all of the violence and such in the Black community, and you practice in emergency medicine, how do you look at it when these people are coming in on the stretcher? The young Black.
You mean like if they have like stab wounds or gunshot wounds, or anything? I'm
just saying,
like traumas.
And covert. Talk about that, because you've been in the emergency room. How do you see our medical establishment with all the things that are going on and lack of possible personnel and all of that? Could you?
Well, as to your first question, I mean, I don't. You know, the violence is what it is. It's unfortunate. You don't want it. It's not good. You would hope that you could that young Black men and women wouldn't be out here doing violence against one another. But at the end of the day, the reasons don't matter. Like the reasons don't matter. Like when they come in on the stretcher, the reasons don't matter. Like however they got there, they started something or somebody started something with them. It doesn't matter. I mean, I need to take care of them. So, I just want them to be okay as far as, learning from the experience and whether they should be there or not, because, what they're out here doing is detrimental. I mean,
I'm saying, how does that weigh on your psyche dealing with all these traumas? I don't
like it. I don't like it. I don't like to see it. You always shake your head and, but you're not in their shoes. As far as my psyche, I can say what I think about it all day. I could be judgmental about it. I give my opinion about it, but it doesn't
affect you.
What I'm trying to say is because I know certain things for a fact, I can't let it affect me too much because I got to move on to the next patient. Like, I can't get so emotionally invested that, I got to be able to do my job. And there's somebody who came in like this, and there's somebody else who's going to come in like that. And you just got to keep it moving.
Has there been a strain on the system? That was the other question with the C-19 and the part of the country you're in.
No, I mean, as far as the amount of traumas you get at any given emergency department, I don't think it's no strain on the system as far as that type of stuff.
No, I was talking about C-19.
Well, yeah, COVID-19 has been a strain in several ways on manpower and resources, materials, medicines. And I mean, obviously, as far as manpower goes, staffing at hospitals. At one point, some hospitals weren't seeing the volumes because they went down because we were telling people to stay home. People were staying home. They're actually listening. They were staying home, and a lot of doctors got furloughed and fired because you would think in a pandemic that's not what would happen, but that's not what happens. When you tell people to stay away from the hospital and then you shut down special procedures and elective surgeries, which are a huge breadwinner for hospitals. There's the primary ways hospitals get income are people getting admitted to the hospital through the ER or maybe from some other way, direct admit from somebody's office or whatever. And then elective procedures, your colonoscopies, your urological procedures, your minimally invasive surgeries, your gallbladders, things like that. Or if you got an appendix that you can do it, and you don't have crew at 1, 2 a.m. You got to let it smolder and wait till 7, 8 o'clock. It's just the hospitals were losing. Now, some hospitals were losing money, but there were several hospitals actually made record profits during the pandemic as well. So that's a whole nother.
Well, I want to get on this also. My era, you had a lot of medical students coming out, and they had their own private practices. Medicine now has gone to corporate America, and most of the doctors are on somebody's payroll. How do you feel about that from a professional standpoint?
I mean, I don't like it because it affects your ability to practice medicine. So you can't, once you make medicine more of it, and medicine is a largely corporate business now. It used to be clinical and corporate, and it's two. You just had to meet in the middle. It's not like that anymore.
Do you think the general public takes the time to look at that and how that affects their general?
They have no idea. But they feel the effects of it. They don't know, but they feel.
That's
the
effects
what I'm saying. I mean, but if they did know, what's going to be done about it? I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, like the only the SEC is not going to get involved because there's no true monopoly. If you've got 4 or 5 healthcare systems, hospital companies, whatever you want to call it, you got a United Healthcare, you got an HCA or whoever you got, and they monopolize. And I say monopolize, it's not the definition of a monopoly, but it's still a handful of large incorporated healthcare systems that are run the majority of the hospitals that people go to. They might not know that, whatever. Even the ones that are out, even some hospital is out in Bolivar, Missouri, or wherever, where it doesn't matter. Like, if a lot of large hospital healthcare systems have smaller satellite hospitals elsewhere. You don't know, but at the end of the day, this is America, and corporations are gonna win. I mean, they're gonna win.
your dad, I did when your dad was practicing medicine. My neighbor, Dr. Carl Peterson, he was one of the, I'm saying, people looked up to him. He was sat on Menorah's medical board. He told me, he said, Nelson, your friend Spalding, he has the best hands I have ever seen for surgery.
Somebody else said that. I can't remember another doctor, but somebody else told me that too. And it wasn't that guy. It was somebody else.
Right. I'll never forget that. I was like, Ken? Because you know, when people close to you, he was saying that your father was a brilliant surgeon. And I don't know whether you knew or that, but I'm
I'd heard that. I'd heard he was really good.
Yeah.
I'd heard he was really good.
So where do you go from here in your life?
I mean, I'm trying to get out of clinical medicine because it's not what it used to be, and it's definitely not. The way I see it going now, it's just the job satisfaction is just not going to be what it was, you know. And there's reasons for that all over. You know how it's much more corporate now. You know, doctors don't have as much autonomy. You know, the patient satisfaction driven culture. Not that you shouldn't work to satisfy your patients and them, you know, feel good about their care, but it's enabling people to be more demanding and basically tell you don't know what you're doing. Like, you come in and tell me my business. Like, that's not okay.
Right.
I don't walk into your office and tell you how to run an interview or market, you know, your multimedia situation. Like, don't walk into my ER, don't walk into some doctor's office and tell them how to be a doctor for you just because you Googled something on, you know, I don't know, whatever.
Right. And a lot of the stuff is inaccurate if you don't know what you're looking at and what have you. Media is very tricky. But let's talk about your family a little bit, because when as I told you off camera, I remember you as a youngster, you and Spike, your brother, and now you have your own family. And what's that like, Ray? You know, talk about that. Being you're not. I kind of
always knew I would be here. Like, I always knew I'd end up having a family or kids or whatever, because I kind of planned my life out in that way. Like, I need to make sure I have a job I can take care of them, and, you know, have a profession where I'm off enough where I can, you know, be at home, be around the kids, you know, and make sure I'm not doing something where I'm traveling around the world. That's why I didn't go to the Navy. I didn't go to the Navy because I wanted to go to the Navy. I wanted to fly jets, but I didn't go because I knew, you know, I wouldn't be able to have a family where I could, you know, be home on a regular basis, which was absurd to me even be thinking about at 16 or 17 years old, but whatever. So, but yeah, my family, my ex-wife is here in Florida. She's only a 35-minute drive away, and the kids are there. And my dad's in Sarasota. He's about an hour south of here. You know, my grandparents were there, but they passed away in the last few years. So,
how you like living down there? The different, you know, the climate.
It's mostly great. I mean, you could see it's a little bleak. It's rainy today, but I'm still, even though I'm still outside on my lanai, you know, having this interview with you. You're indoors because I don't know what the temperature is right now, but it's not conducive to being outside.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, even in January, February, I can still be outside out here. You know, I got a TV out here, and, you know, we just come lay out by the pool sometimes or whatever, you know. It's nice.
Yeah. Well, in closing, do you have any words that you would like to say, words of wisdom, first of all, for young Black high school kids that might look at this? And do you have any words for your Kansas City people?
Well, first of all, you know, I don't know what your audience fully is, who sees this, but you know, I think it's very important I impress this upon my kids. You know, regardless of whether or not you do anything with your college education, I think it's important to go and get one. However you can do that, whether you do 2 years of community college and go finish that off somewhere else or whatever. You need to have a well-rounded brain. You need to know things. You just need to know how your world works. You need to know, I mean, just simple things that simple math can solve, or just critical thinking can solve. You need to know, you speak the English language, learn how to use it. There's a lot of words in it that mean a whole lot of things. Learn how to use it. It's good. It's important to, become knowledgeable and articulate and be able to think, and yeah, I mean, how we live, we have to code switch at work. Like I can't talk how I normally talk, at work. I have to talk a little different, and that's, it's important to know how to do stuff like that if you want to survive. I mean, if you want to live in reality, we always want things to get better, and we rightfully complain and demand things that we should have. But in the meantime, while we get there, you got to learn how to navigate the water. So I think having an education beyond your high school education is good. And whether you get that on your own somehow, you go to an institution whatever you do to educate yourself. I mean, you literally most people have a supercomputer in their hands every day. Use it. There's no excuse to be ignorant. There's none. There's no excuse to be ignorant out here. So,
well, there's one or two excuses. Mass media will program you to dumb you down.
You can look things up. You can verify what they say. It's not hard to.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that they make it so easy. When they start dumbing you down, if it don't have that sparkle, you're not even going to look at it. Like you asked me about my audience. I have an intellectual audience. They will look at, a significant amount will look at this, understanding that you are urban professional and that you're talking to how things are right now in the narrative and in the lane that you're in right now, not the lane your dad was in, or the past. What's going on right now and what works as you see it?
What's going on around it that works as I see it?
Yeah. I said, with this interview, you've talked about the present per se, mm-hmm. and you talked about how you got where you're at. And it's real difficult now for people of color to, as you said, that education, it costs a bunch of money.
It does. I mean, I was fortunate. My mom was able to help me my first 4 years, like in college. And in med school, I had to take out a bunch of loans, which are astronomically high. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, hopefully, I mean, you can either get scholarships, you can take out loans to get to school, and it should be free. Honestly, it should be free. Your college education should be free.
Yeah, to me, healthcare, education, you got all these other countries.
It should be free. All of it should be free.
Yeah. We're paying too many taxes for it not to be. But
honestly, I mean, enough taxes aren't being paid. But that's why people who make a certain amount of money,
I'm talking about the average. I'm talking about, first of all, I feel Cascade Media Group, we represent the bottom 3/4 of our community. Okay. The 1/4 of our community, they are in your position, possibly my little position, have a little something, and you get a little different treatment. One thing I want to comment on, how you said you had to be able to switch up. I was looking at something yesterday, and they were saying they couldn't be they couldn't be black. They had no black person can be black all the time for the most part. When you're working, you have to switch your blackness off and switch the majority community personality on if you're going to move forward. And you just really validated that right off the top, saying that you have to be able to change gears. Or you
also don't always do it though. Like sometimes for my own sanity, I just have to force myself, and they have to just
what I was talking about.
And they hate it. They hate it every time I do it. But I mean, in little subtle ways. But
yeah, that's what I was talking about. Your mental health as a doctor, seeing the trauma, seeing all of the different things, and being intelligent. As you said, you need to know the world you're living in, and you recognize where you live in, the world you're living in, and the space you're living in, And a lot of times you don't like it. It's uncomfortable. It's all right financially and this and that, but from a mental state, I never would have thought, I don't know why, but I didn't put no thought to it, that you would have been the type of individual that was thinking what I'm gonna do when I'm 16. When you were 16 years old, you were planning out what you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people need to go that far. You know, like that's the time to make not major mistakes, but some mistakes and figure out your life. You don't have to be thinking about your entire future like I was. I mean, you know.
Well, I think that's the only way to go, and then let life take its course. But if you don't have a plan, you in trouble now.
I mean, maybe these days, yeah. You know, going to college doesn't guarantee you a good job like it used to.
I tell my people,
no more factory jobs and mining jobs, or you could come out of high school, work till you're 50 and retire, and you had your pension, and you can't do that anymore. Like, it's really not a lot.
I try to tell my kids that I deal with, especially the ones in sports, you need to play as hard as you can, whatever sport it is, and you need to get a scholarship so that can be a springboard to life for you.
Yeah, I mean, if they have the ability to, or they have the drive.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Sports takes a level of discipline that is different from just normal day-to-day life discipline. Like you need to almost be of singular-minded focus, especially these days. Like you don't just play sports anymore. Like, it's much more of a lifestyle than it ever had been before, because it's all about your wear and tear and staying healthy, taking care of your body. And it's not just a physical, it's a mental endeavor.
Right. And for a student athlete, I'm saying you have to be focused because you have to have your books. You have to stay eligible. And it's the same way. And that's why I said I didn't know that you were that focused. What does your brother do?
Oh, my brother works for T-Mobile. He's a network support guy. I don't know exactly what his job title is.
I thought he was in media. He's
kind of higher up. He's kind of higher up in the echelons of their inner workings. I don't know. So you'd have to ask Garen. But
yeah.
I wish I had his job. He can work from home a lot. I actually have to go in.
Well, I just had Dr. Shelley Cooper on about 2 weeks ago, medical telehealth, and how that's
that too.
Yeah, how that's changing the industry.
I mean, it's I don't know how much it's changing it. It's an avenue for people to make money, but it's funneling people away from urgent cares and ERs and same-day doctor visits for minor stuff like colds and things like that. Like, we can prescribe you whatever we think you need based on your symptoms, and keep it moving. So it might help decongest in some ways, but I don't think it's going to.
We talked about
revolutionize anything yet.
We talked about the rural clients and how with telehealth they can instruct you on, and even on the battlefield, operations and different things that need to be done. But I'm gonna close out saying it was a plum pleasing pleasure to really have you. That's Jim Watts. Do you remember Mr. Watts?
Yeah, I remember.
That's his closing on our show. I steal it all the time. But my closing is, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.
The program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.